Hey, small business people and lovers of good stories in general. Welcome to episode 34 of Small Business War Stories. And today I had the opportunity to sit down with Cali Noland and Ben Lewis of Meraki Roasting Company in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And they were really great. They had this amazing operation there where they're not only roasting great coffee, but they're really making an impact in their local community by helping local youth get trained in different soft skills and hard skills. And the Mississippi Delta is a very poor area of the country, and Cali and Ben are really trying to make a difference in their community while making a great product. And that's a really inspiring story that I'm really excited to share with you today. The episode is part of the Soul of America tour and is brought to you by Tecovas Boots. They are real handmade top quality boots for a fraction of retail prices. They sell directly to you, no middleman and no retail. So you can head over to tecovasboots.com and buy them directly. I wore them every day of the tour and they're great. It's TECOVAS boots.com. The episode is also brought to you by Impact Crates. Impact Crates are strong, safe, and secure dog crates. So they're like aluminum crates that help you keep your dog safe while you move. So in the 4,000-mile trip of the Soul of America tour, Muddy Waggers, my puppy, was in the crate every single day, and that kept him safe. And now any long trips that we take, he goes in the crate. You can use code MUDDY20, MUDDY20, to get 20% off your Impact Crate. And then the episode is also brought to you by Badger Mapping. Badger is an app that allows you to map your territory if you have a sales territory and figure out what the best way is to get from account to account and how to optimize that. I use it every day to get around during the Soul of America tour. And if you tell them that you found them on Small Business War Stories, they will give you 2 free months. And every episode of Small Business War Stories is brought to you by Proven. Proven is a company I started with my business partner, Sean, and is a leading small business hiring tool. We've been around since 2009. We make small business hiring easy. It's exclusively designed for small businesses, so it's very easy to use. Thousands of small businesses use Proven, and there is a free trial. Go check it out. It's proven.com, Proven.com. Without further ado, I want to get into the episode today with Cali Noland and Ben Lewis of Meraki Roasting Company in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. This is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. And we are live here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Cali Noland and Ben Lewis. And you guys run this amazing business here in town called Meraki Roasting Company. I'm very excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I want to hear all about it. So how did the business start? You guys are relatively new in town. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how this all started and where, how did you get inspired to start a coffee company?
Cali, I'll let you start. You've been the longest.
Sure. Well, I actually grew up in Clarksdale and went to college, and when I came back, knew I wanted to start a nonprofit that helped youth in Clarksdale. So about 6 years ago, we started an after-school program that was an arts program for youth. And so when they got a little bit older, we started having graduates of our program. And we realized that job skills was a really important part of the training that they needed to just be able to succeed and go to college. They needed to be able to get a job and hold a job in order to provide for themselves and in order to maybe just get basic things like be able to buy a car to go to college. And so when that realization came to us, we said, okay, let's do this. Like, we're going to do whatever the real need is in Clarksdale.
Yeah.
So we actually had a first trial run in the job training program where our kids were growing vegetables and selling them at the farmer's market.
Very cool. In an urban setting?
Well, actually, there's a lot of farmland around here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I was in Missouri and I interviewed a
Yeah.
person who was doing a urban farm, even though there's a lot of farmland around Missouri.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It
That
was a combination of both because they had the local raised beds within the city and then also land
Awesome.
outside the city.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did that go?
Well, it was a great idea.
Version 1.0.
The training portion of it was really successful. The kids that were in the program did really well and graduated and now are employed. The one thing that we had feedback on and that we realized quickly is that if we were going to do this, we needed to invest in a business that was actually going to bring in some income.
Okay.
So
Sustainability.
Farming was not as profitable
Right.
as you thought it would be.
Yes. So that's when we started. We pulled back, and since we're a nonprofit, we have a board of directors, and so I worked with the board of directors to put together a solid business plan. And as we were working that business plan out, it was kind of interesting because we knew what we needed for the job training portion of the program, but we weren't exactly sure what the business was going to be.
Got it. So taking a half step back, you said we knew. So when we are a nonprofit, so what is that organization, the nonprofit?
Yeah, the nonprofit is called Griot Arts Incorporated.
Okay, that's GRIOT.
That's right.
Correct.
Griot is actually a West African word. It means storyteller. They're
Okay.
the keepers of the culture. They pass down the culture to the younger generations through dance, poetry, music. So that, kind of inspired the arts side of things.
Okay.
Then when we started the job training program, of course we needed another fun, funky word for that.
Yeah.
So we came up with Meraki.
Okay.
And Meraki is actually a Greek word. It means to put soul, creativity, and love into your work.
That is a massive amount of meaning into one word.
Right?
Well, that's what we try to instill is,
Yeah.
a massive amount of meaning into each individual.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. There's the just kind of the basic side of it, which, hey, let's just teach some basic skills to
Yeah.
where we can all hold down a job. The second part of it is that we really feel like that work is a very integral part of life, and it's not just a burden. It can be a passion and a calling.
Yeah.
And so we try to, when our students are in our program, using that word Meraki and helping them really find what is their calling, what is their passion, and what can they give back to the community.
Cool.
When you find that thing that you really love and are passionate about, it becomes a gift to people around you, not
Okay.
only just to yourself to make
So
money.
the coffee shop, if I'm understanding correctly, is then a profitable expression of the desire to have a training program.
Yes.
That is very cool. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
A B Corp, I guess, in some
So
circles.
you guys see yourself as a socially minded venture?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Do you want to tell about how the coffee part came about?
Well, so
Tell me about the coffee.
the coffee part. I could talk about coffee forever.
I'm pretty tired after this. You can have my job if you.
I apologize.
I'm just playing. You're doing better than I am. So.
Yeah, so the coffee part. I'm originally from Washington State.
Okay.
Coffee is actually a part of my blood.
Okay.
And
Where about in Washington State?
originally Spokane, Washington,
Yeah.
but
I
went
lived
to,
in Bend, Oregon for a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
So-
I had a girlfriend from Sela.
oh, I don't know
Yeah.
Sela, but
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Cool.
Okay,
near,
yeah.
Near Yakima.
Yep. And so, anyways, I moved down to Mississippi 2.5 years ago to work in education. So my background is in education. I had my own consulting business, and I've worked with several different roasting companies in the
Okay.
past. So when I met Cali and she was talking about her vision with the job training program, and she was kind of talking about different potential businesses,
Yeah.
it came down to, with this concept to support job training, it can be any business, but whoever's running it needs to have a passion for it.
Right.
And there is not much more in this world that I'm passionate about other than coffee, and then combining it with my love for education.
Yeah.
It's my ideal dream
So
job.
you picked up and moved.
Yes. Picked up. Well, I actually didn't move down for Cali, but I moved down for another education reason. But ended up coming over here to work because it combined my two passions, other than my children. I should say that. But
Awesome.
yeah. So the coffee. Chose coffee for a variety of reasons, not just because of my passion, but it's also a great platform for job training. Coffee is very science and technically oriented.
Yeah.
There's process that needs to happen, so it teaches that, it instills that instructional following, patterning, routine.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of variables in coffee that you have to learn to react to.
Okay.
So it teaches kids they have to go deeper. They have to understand fundamentals of whatever they're doing. They can't just do it. They have to understand why they're doing it.
So basically, like taking away the like mindless layer of I'm just going to
Yes.
repeatedly do something.
Exactly.
And have people think.
Exactly. And so when you're roasting coffee, there's all sorts of variables that get introduced, and you have to understand why they're happening, and then think logically, okay, how do I compensate or react to these new variables that are thrown in?
Yeah.
And so it makes a wonderful kind of job training platform for developing those soft skills, which is our focus.
And your hard skills too.
Yes, and the hard skills, yes.
Yeah.
The hard skills are kind of secondary. I mean, they're important. We want something that helps them build their resume.
Yeah.
You know, the age-old problem, you go to apply for a job and you can't get it because you don't have experience. Therefore, you can't build experience. So we're building those technical skills in so they have something resumeable.
Yeah.
But our ultimate goal is we want to help them develop their soft skills so no matter where they work, they can be excellent employees.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. How does that? What are the examples of soft skills that you teach people?
Soft skills are things like hope, pride.
Waking up on time.
Yes, time management. That tends to bleed over into more
So
technical.
hope and pride are probably the values driving the skills, but the
like what
specific
drives
skills.
us, and how do you, with going back to the meaning of Meraki, when you put a piece of yourself into your work, you tend to be more motivated through those hard times.
Yeah.
As we all know, hard times are going to come whether we want them to or not, even if you love your work.
Yep.
But then it sometimes gets as simple as just time management, waking up on time, thinking ahead, saying, okay, I shouldn't stay out late because I have to be at the shop early in the morning.
Got it. How many kids are currently involved in the program?
Currently 8. Okay. We have kind of 2 tracks. We have a high school oriented track and those that are not in school. Our target student is the term opportunity youth. I don't know if you've heard that. Kind of came out of the Obama administration.
I have not. What is it? What does that mean?
Basically, it's 16 to 24 that is neither in school nor working. And so that's kind of our ideal student or youth. Is someone who's just kind of fallen through the cracks and needs that extra help to build their foundation.
We, we are here in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and I don't know if you know, but there's 40% poverty here in our town. And so, we're dealing, every day the citizens here are dealing with different effects of poverty. And so, we saw a lot of our students who were in the after-school arts program were developing a lot of those values that we were talking about, the hope and just character values through being in our program. But a lot of times if you don't have people around you that necessarily have held a full-time job, or really if you're just struggling, if you're wondering where you're going to be able to eat, or there's some chaos going on at home, those soft skills are harder to nail down. And so we're trying to create not only just this business structure, but also this support system and kind of family-like feel.
Right. It takes a village, right?
It takes a village, right? And we all are struggling with our own things, And so
what? You are human?
I'm totally perfect. I got everything together.
Right. And so, we're all just in this together, trying to work on help each other. And it's very cool how, even just working with the students, that they bring so much into our lives and make us think about things differently. Just because of our particular situation in Clarksdale, there is a lot more need just for those kind of basic soft skills to be developed. I think the education system already has so much on its shoulders, and there's not a lot of time just for those basic skills. And so that's, kind of one reason we focus on
Cool.
soft skills.
So you guys originally started the agriculture program, and how long ago was that?
About 3 years ago.
3 years.
3 or 4 years
It was
ago.
on for 2013
Okay,
somewhere.
and how long did that last?
That lasted about the full program was about a year. The full program was lasted a year, and then we had a full year cycle of growing and all of that. We also had a recycling pickup program.
Okay.
And then at the end of that year, we kind of realized, okay, our funding has depleted. We haven't made a lot of
Who originally
money.
funded it? Was it through a
We
grant?
we had a couple of different people giving us a grant to be able to do that. And that's a great thing about having partnerships with organizations that do grants, because they a lot of times can give some good feedback.
Yeah.
And they were kind of the ones who said, we love what y'all are doing. Could you do this and make more money?
Yeah.
Can
We're
you
like,
do it sustainably?
we probably could.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah.
And how long ago did the coffee shop start?
The coffee shop officially launched March 11th.
Okay.
So we're going on our 5th week.
Okay, that is amazing. Okay,
Yes.
and so far, is this working better as a business than the other ventures were before?
We're in the black.
Okay, that's a great start.
Not much, but
Yeah. So we had a couple of reasons for choosing the coffee roastery model. Not just, there were a couple of times when we thought we could start a cafe or, maybe just a coffee shop, but actually doing the roasting of green beans and then bagging and being able to ship. We can ship, worldwide.
Really?
And so we have a subscription model that you can do monthly subscriptions for your home or your business, and we're also trying to sell our coffee in grocery stores.
That's amazing. So that allows you to have a local impact in terms of the community, but it also allows you to scale your sales potentially much beyond Clarksdale.
Exactly.
So
that's
amazing.
right.
That's amazing. Very cool. So tell me more about the subscription model. How has it been working so far, and what are some of the pros and cons and challenges with that?
consistency is always the biggest thing, especially when working with youth and getting that patterning down. The subscription model is great because it's predictable revenue, and that's always a great thing in business.
Better than non-predictable
yes,
revenue.
yes.
I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, not much math that needs to go on there.
Yeah.
But the largest challenge is just kind of keeping that consistency when your workforce comes in and out, and then making sure people are trained and that the product that gets delivered meets standards and quality.
Very cool. So I imagine as it's starting to take shape in my head now. So I imagine that you guys want to build a very strong brand that they can have people have the social impact in the Mississippi Delta through buying some of your coffee.
Yes.
And that way you can have a local impact, but reach much beyond
Yeah, so even, just in our after school program has been around for 6 years.
Yeah.
And we've just started this new program, but it's really cool how we have so many contacts and supporters all across the United States.
Yeah.
And we've seen very early on, as soon as we opened up our subscription model offering, and we're able to, put that out there for people, we very quickly got orders from all over the country.
Yeah,
of
I'll sign up.
supporters,
Yeah,
right?
let's say
Are you
Washington
ready?
State to New York. We've got subscribers.
I'm in Texas. Where do people? I was going to ask you at the end, but since we're talking about it, how do you? What's your web property where you find this?
MerakiRoasting.com is the
coffee. Meraki.
Yes.
Roasting.com.
MerakiRoasting.com is the coffee subscription.
Okay.
And then GrioArts.com, GRIOT, is where they can find out more about the job training and Grio as a larger organization.
So as of today, people can go and subscribe and have a positive impact in Mississippi youth, while also
something we all do every morning anyways is drink a cup of coffee, but now make positive change
Awesome.
through it.
So let's talk about your coffee. Where do you guys get your beans from? How do you think about the roasting aspect? You were talking about the coffee roasting process being very dynamic. I don't know much about it. What does that entail?
Yeah, so there's lots of challenges when it comes to coffee roasting, especially when you speak about sourcing your green beans. One of the high priorities for me is transparency and where the beans come from. Is it sustainably, ethically grown? And so we are kind of at an awkward stage in between a very small micro roaster or home roaster and a larger scale commercial roaster, which means there's not many people who will source beans to us.
Got it.
And still give us the transparency that we require. But we are hoping to eventually develop, direct relationships with the farmers, do kind of the farm to cup concept.
Okay.
But right now we do use middlemen to source our green beans from all around the world, which is also the fun part because we teach the education. I'm a firm believer in single origin beans instead of blending. Okay. Because each region has very unique dynamic flavors. And then depending on how you roast it, you can bring out different elements.
Okay, so tell me more about that. I actually recently learned in the past few years about the difference between light and dark roast coffee, but maybe can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, you're asking very complex questions. In a nutshell, there's kind of two flavors you build into your coffee. You have the origin flavor. It's very much like wine. The environment it grew in, the minerals in the ground, how much rainfall, was it shade grown, etc. What elevation, all those change the flavor. So that's the origin flavor, but then you have your roast flavor. Okay. And that's how you roast it. Okay. Now, generically speaking, and there'll probably be some coffee connoisseurs out there that might argue me on this. Sure. But the darker you go, the more you lose your origin flavor and you develop what they call the roast flavor. Right. So single origin beans I tend to roast lighter because I want to accent the origin flavor. However, most people are used to darker roasts.
Right. So that's been kind of a marketing thing, right? People talk about like the rich, bold caramel flavor. Yes. But really I learned recently what that means is like your beans weren't that good. So you
want to roast them to the dark end. Yeah, that's a dark side. Yeah. And I've done that too. I fall victim to that. I mean, it's what I call nostalgic coffee. Yeah. It's what America's got used to. A lot of people blame it on Starbucks of just over roasting their beans, but it means that you don't have to be as careful where you source them from.
The crazy thing about Starbucks is people talk shit about Starbucks. Yes. But before Starbucks, it was coffee in America was Folgers. Yep. Which is, I'm not even going to get into that. So even though once you start getting into like real coffee nerd territory, like the dark roast beans of Starbucks are not like the ultimate coffee roast. They brought the idea of like a well-made cup of coffee
mainstreaming coffee
to the consciousness of the public.
Well, it was a whole culture shift. It became like the cool thing to do. It's not just...
And they refer to that as second wave. So first wave is what you were talking about, the pre-Starbucks, the Folgers. Yeah. Second wave is that mainstream, let's popularize Starbucks coffee. And now what they call, what I believe I'm a part of, is that third wave. How the art behind coffee, that artisan craft.
Yeah, so it's kind of the place where coffee becomes more like wine.
Yes, very much so. Is that third wave coffee, and that's kind of what we're in now. So everybody's looking for what's next.
Yeah, what is a fourth wave coffee?
That's a good question. If I have the answer,
just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. We'll create it.
You'll advertise it on your website.
Exactly.
Cool. Can you think? I mean, you alluded to it a little bit earlier with the whole farming idea not being profitable, and like. But maybe even in the first 5 weeks that you've been open, what is a time when things just went sideways and went wrong, and a specific story about something that just didn't work, and how did you fix it? How did you, or maybe you're dealing with it right now?
Yeah, we've had one of the challenges that we face because we are specifically a program to train youth is that we want to give as much work time to our students as possible. Yeah. So we kind of built our program around trying to put hours in for our students. I would say that if we were just a regular business, then we would have started, and Ben and I probably would have been the only people working way too many hours trying to pound it out and, just to make the money. But since we, since our purpose is to train kids, we do pay a lot of money for labor that probably the normal startup wouldn't. Not to necessarily say that's a bad thing, but we have been challenged to say, okay, the reality here is that if we can figure out how to make more money, then we can actually help more kids.
Yeah.
The bigger we are, the more sales we do, the more responsible we are with our money and making good choices, the more kids we help in the end.
Yeah.
But how do you balance that with just, making our program work right now?
Right. So I think the subscription thing could be a key part of that, right? Because then you take the lid off of the scalability.
Exactly.
It's not just people coming to the festivals here.
Right, definitely. Yeah.
It moves us beyond just our local community to support us, but then we have a whole country, world supporting us.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would say another thing that Ben and I both struggle with is that we are both idea people. And so, we put our business plan in place, and then ever since then, about once a week we go, oh, what if we did this? And we have a new plan or a new thing that we think would be cool. And so, that's been something that we've had to really work together to.
I've mentored a lot of people in business, and people come up to me with like, oh, it's going to be like this, A, B, C, D, and E, and it's going to be amazing. I'm like, okay, hold on for a second. I learned the hard way that if somehow you get to pull off just A, it'll be the hardest damn thing you have ever done in your life.
Exactly.
So let's focus on doing A, because there are 0 examples of companies that have started doing A, B, C, D, and E that are now big and successful.
Yes.
There are plenty of companies that started doing A, did A really well,
Over
and then
and
added
over
B and C and D years, decades down the line.
Right.
So I think that's very, very wise.
So but you nailed it.
Personality-wise, though, that's not necessarily,
it's a struggle. It's an everyday struggle. No, we cannot do that. We have to stay focused.
Yeah,
and
I call it the shiny penny problem.
Yes.
So it's like, it looks like a shiny penny, oh my God. And then it kind of takes away from the execution and the boring ass shit you have to do every day to make a business run.
Right, yeah. We've also learned a good lesson too with, trying to find the people to work with us that complement our personalities instead of, basically the same personality. We just recently, a couple of weeks ago, kind of did this profile of all of our staff members and realized, basically Ben and I are pretty much the same personality. We're dominant and
like-minded people attract each other.
Yeah. And so we need those people around us who are more steady. They'll just hang in there with us. They'll do the everyday job. They don't have a new idea every week. Yeah. They're just going to show up and be consistent.
Fine. Yep, that is just fine.
It takes all types of people in the business to make it happen.
So that's what we need. Like, it's so valuable to have people who are different, and so
and stable. Yeah, diversity helps.
Yeah, for sure. Are there other ways beyond being, obviously having the youth training program that you're involved with in the community? You have a storefront here in Clarksdale, so are you holding like different events and different things? How do you want to also become a part of the daily, street life of Clarksdale?
So I think we were very intentional from the beginning, even with the after school program, that as soon as we were financially stable enough, we wanted to be downtown in Clarksdale. There's a big movement to revitalize downtown and just get more people in the buildings. There's a lot of opportunity around. But so we moved our after school program down here about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. But one thing that we realized is that from the beginning, we really wanted to be that community space, but it wasn't quite as accessible to the community because it was really just purely a youth space, which was great for the youth. But now that we have opened up our retail store and tasting room and on the corner of Sunflower and 3rd in Clarksdale, it's amazing just the people who get to walk in. And one thing that's really cool about the way that we serve coffee here, we only do French press and pour over.
Yeah, it's delicious. We're having a cup right now.
Yes, thanks. But it's very neat because that process of making that cup of coffee takes anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how distracted we are. But
Yeah, I love the pour over process.
Right.
I do it in a Chemex filter.
Yeah, but so we have these bar stools, and most of the people, as we're making their coffee, they sit down and they start having a conversation with us. And so it's opened up our reach to so many more people that are able to just walk in.
Yeah, and again, another level or aspect to the job training program, because it teaches that communication and relational aspect that's needed.
Awesome.
And so our youth are now interacting with people they wouldn't normally ever communicate
That's awesome.
with.
And having that, that interaction also allows people to say somebody's visiting here from Sweden or South Africa or from, Cincinnati, they're able to take that story back. And is your coffee subscription service international or just domestic at the moment?
It is international. They pay for shipping, but
Okay,
it's international.
Got it. So if you're here from Sweden, you can actually, get Meraki coffee in Godberg, which is awesome.
Yes,
exactly. And then, so to finish your question, there's two other aspects to our retail space downtown. Okay. One thing is that we have what we call the Meraki Market, and we're in partnership with the local farmers market, and we're a space where local vendors or anyone who makes anything by hand or grows anything locally can sell their goods in Clarksdale. In our space.
That is awesome.
And we so we do that on consignment here. So we carry their goods. So it's a great.
The tables too, right? Like the
so
our
we
furniture.
Beautiful tables.
Yeah, everything.
Variety of different carpenters.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so then the other cool part of that is that by having this, we've also encouraged a lot of people who wouldn't do that to start making things and sharing their gifts. So like the one table that you might be talking about is our friend Chris Campos, who comes and hangs out here every day.
Table.
Yes, exactly. He has so many gifts, and we were like, don't you want to make a table to put in there? And he was like, okay, and so we took 2 days and put that table together.
That's a beautiful table.
Yeah, so sharing his gifts.
Yeah.
And then so the other part of engagement with the community is that we have open mic nights and we have events for youth in our space, which really before has not really been space.
That is awesome. Well, the music is starting to pump, and the reason for that is that now we're about to receive a large influx of people coming here for your program. So that is probably a great time to wrap up, and maybe where can people find you? What are your websites and your Instagram handles and your address here, if you want to say it one more time, so people can check out this amazing labor that you're undertaking.
Yeah, MerakiRoasting.com for coffee subscriptions. Also on Facebook, Meraki Roasting, Instagram, Meraki Roasting.
Yeah.
And then Griot Arts, GriotArts.com, and 282 Sunflower, Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today at Small Business War Stories. And I really wish you all the best in this really awesome labor that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time.